are you ready to talk about League of Legends and update on some scores?
Yeah, we can talk about League of Legends. It's a pretty depressing week overall.
All right, let's move on into LCS North America. We're just going to recap some scores from the weekend. Kind of run down what we were talking about prepping for you last week. And it's kind of what we expected. I mean, I think that's going to be a little bit of a theme of this episode today. You know, what's going on in the upper bracket, what's going on in the lower bracket. Nick, if you want to run us through this, give us your thoughts.
So, you know, we already saw that in round one with the upper bracket, right? We had Dignitas lose 0-3 against 100 Thieves, which was an obvious win. They did a great job just shutting them out. FlyQuest did a great job with Energy Kia. And then we move into round two. Round two for the upper bracket, exactly like we were saying last week, like Team Liquid, well, not exactly, right? 50% accurate on this one. Team Liquid is actually, 3-0. They're the best team that we have right now. They're doing really good. They're doing exactly what they've been doing, right? And there was really no challenge. So they ended up shutting out 100 Thieves. Yeah. Here's where it happened. Like, this could be, a couple reasons why, but Cloud9 ends up losing to FlyQuest. They only won one game against FlyQuest, and they're supposed to be like the super team, right? Like one of the, they're doing really well.
They were one of 3 teams that had a positive record in this split, right? Everybody else, yeah. I think 5 out of the 8 had less than 500 win rate. You had 3 teams, and Team Liquid, we kind of like called it. They went 7-0, so of course they're gonna like look strong, come in strong. But yeah.
Yeah, like this is one of those situations where, you don't know where Cloud9 really was like lacking. Were they lacking in scrims? Were they lacking in coming up with a different strategy than what they've been doing the whole entire time, right? Like this is just, it could just be, FlyQuest just had their number on this one. Like the game itself was like pretty dominant for FlyQuest. It wasn't too.
And that was something we were talking about to look out for last week when we were talking about these games. We kind of expected FlyQuest to take NRG Kia going 2-5 in this split. They didn't look strong. They looked like they barely squeaked into this whole bracket exchange anyway. So FlyQuest was gonna probably win, which they did. And we were saying, I remember we were saying specifically, they need to get the bad habits out and not learn any bad habits here. And we've seen how FlyQuest can have like a good streak, like in the first stage or the second stage before MSI. They were able to push really hard, and then here they are, no bad habits, come in strong against Cloud9. Either Cloud9 lost it or FlyQuest won it. What do you think?
This is where you can't really be the players themselves, right? But the players haven't had a match in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Like same thing for like Team Liquid, right? But maybe their coaching staff and everything like that is just keeping them a little bit more fresh, a little bit more warmed up. And who knows? Like, I don't know if I didn't see anything, but like maybe nobody wanted to scrim with like Cloud9, like previous to this, like, because usually what ends up happening is that the couple teams like FlyQuest and Cloud9 in this sense would scrim against each other in order to get ready for like Team Liquid. Right. And that's just not like happening. Right. They're not doing that because then they're going to give away secrets. So, yeah. But, and then we also had if you want to scroll down, then we had the lower bracket where Dignitas ends up beating Energy Kia in a very, very close game with 3-2. It was interesting. Overall, the playoffs in North America, the playoffs in Korea, I haven't really watched, Europe, but we're having a little bit too many lane swaps right now. Not role swaps. Having too many lane swaps is just making the game boring. Like even SKT or T1 Academy was placing KT over the weekend. Like this happened yesterday, and it was another playoff game. This had another fearless draft, and it was exciting for like the fearless draft, but the game itself was like a blowout. There was lane swaps. Like it's lane swapping is just not fun for the first 10 minutes of the game. It's pretty aggravating. I'd rather just like have everybody just get gold on the ground and, you know, start at 10 minutes. Like it's so boring to me.
It feels ceremonial at that point. Like they're just going through the motions and kind of just like pick, counter pick, not literally pick ban, but like, you know, I do a move, action, reaction, like with lane swapping.
Lane swapping, I'm like, you know, this would be like a hot take real quick. Like lane swapping makes me think that the game needs to be played at 4 players and not 5. Like that's what that's what lane swapping says to me. Like just delete top lane. He's not playing the game for the first 15, 20 minutes anyway.
I was going to ask what would be excluded in that point. You kind of just answered for it, which I think we could dive in deeper and kind of do a whole theory crafting on how that would work and what we'd like to see out of that. But I'm not sure we should go into that right about now. No,
the simple answer is it's top lane because it's called the island and they play by themselves anyway. And then when lane swaps happen, they even play nothing. They're basically playing solitaire, walking around the map for the most part. So, you know, lane swaps negatively impact the top laners, so might as well just not have top.
Interesting. Like would it be like I have like so many questions. Like, would the map just be a 2-lane map rather than a 3-lane map? And when you just have like one jungle in the middle, I think that would probably be the answer to it. But anyway, it'd be interesting if they end up pick banning like a certain lane as well. Like you get rid of X or Y. But anyway, keeping on focus, I want to, you know, just, you're right. With Dignitas and NRG, it's a little bit surprising the lower bracket, but we kind of figured Dignitas would take a win over NRG. We kind of figured that's who was going to be playing in that first lower bracket game. But surprising that it went to a 3-2. NRG was kind of fighting to stay alive here, even though they're probably fighting like the next weakest team. It doesn't really mean much going 3-2. They're really fighting to go back into a vengeance match with 100 Thieves here in the lower bracket too. And kind of just looking forward to expect later this week, FlyQuest is going to be taking on Team Liquid Honda for the upper bracket, I guess, invitation to Worlds. And then on the lower bracket, we got Dignitas and 100 Thieves in their, would you call this a vengeance match? Because they did play in the first round, and maybe Dignitas is looking to like come back with some momentum after a win here, and like 100 Thieves taking the L on against Team Liquid.
So it's definitely like a revenge match. But like going forward for like the playoffs for North America, like they should really take heed of this. These are the worst games coming up. Like these are like the worst games in general without like huge swinging upsets. This legitimately sucks. Like it legitimately sucks to have the lower bracket even happen for the most part. And
I'm an advocate. I'm a real big advocate that the lower bracket can contain some of the most excitement, but when you have teams in these situations, a lot of times, and like I know we've talked about this with League, a lot of players, a lot of coaches want to go to a comfort picks. They want to just go to the thing that they think is going to win, even if it's not the best of the meta. It's just the thing they've scrimmed a bunch. It's the thing that they're comfortable with, the synergies they work on. So like I think that's also a part that makes this maybe less appealing, because I love lower brackets. I love lower bracket playoffs because there's a lot on the line, especially this time of year. But, you know, will we see that sort of like storyline, that excitement? Who knows? NRG Dignitas game previously, it was 3-2, but was it exciting? I don't know. And it's kind of up in the grabs for the rest of the lower bracket here. I would love to see that, but who knows how deep they'd really go.
I mean, like for me, like I hate this lower bracket. There's not enough players. There's not enough games and teams that are in this lower bracket. So like best case scenario for like viewership, FlyQuest beats Team Honda, right? Not even going to call them Liquid at this point, right? Like beats Team Honda over here. Team Honda gets dropped to the bot lane, right? Or lower bracket, dropped to the bot lane. They get dropped to the bot lane.
Swapping.
They get dropped to the lower bracket, and then they powerhouse it back into a rematch in the finals. Then, like, what's the other option? Well, FlyQuest drops down, then FlyQuest has a rematch against Cloud9. Thank Christ we get to see the same shit for weeks on end. Like, no, I hate this shit. I hate it so much because, like, to me, it's like I'm gonna watch the same games.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch the same champions being picked. there's no evolution that's going to happen throughout these games for the most part, right? Like, I'm not really going to have a huge patch coming in because like Worlds is going to be coming up. So we're going to have like another, we're going to have another patch before Worlds. Legitimately, I think that these are like this is part of the viewership problem for League and other, people like League. Right now, everybody's going to bow out. There are 4 matches that no one's going to watch for the most part. Like
until Worlds, yeah. No one's going to watch until Worlds.
Well, they're going to watch finals, right? They'll come back to like watch the finals, but like you're probably not going to watch these next couple games because they really just don't matter. Right. And things are probably going to play out the way that you assume based on the
real talk, real question here. I'll kind of wrap up this segment about scores updates and like what to expect this week with League. But like looking beyond this week, looking beyond Worlds, is this and the things you're talking about, the issues and the friction here for viewership and for the competitiveness, is that going to be solved with the Americas region next year?
No, it's still going to be like 10. Like it'll still be like 10 players. It's a formatting issue. Like League, like this will never net if you only have 2, 4, 6 teams, right? And again, there was only 8 teams in this one. Right. So there's 2 more extra teams when we go to the Americas again, because we lost out the 10 teams. Again, it's 10 teams. It'll still be 6 teams, right? This doesn't change.
So wild, man. That's still wild that it's only 6 and like a bracket. Like at that point, it's almost like worth just putting everybody in to like a play-in playoff where it's like anybody's game at that point, because you're just seeding or you have to go farther. Yeah, I could see what you're talking about where it's like it is a format issue. Do you think Fearless Draft would like spice it up or make it more exciting here on North America side, or?
I think yes and yes and no. I think like a combination of like Fearless Draft probably with like something else. Like I'm not 100% sure, and like I could say some spicy stupid sentences of like ban every champion that was played last week. Like because of how many games are played, like just like every champion that was played last week, and now you can only play like the new champion. So like,
interesting.
I don't know. There's a couple different things, but really it's not 6 teams that play each other for like, it's not even a round robin. It's gross, dude. It's gross. I don't like it.
It's like, why are they even playing playoffs when they like, the summer stage they played each other once. Team Liquid goes 7-0, and like we were complaining about how a 2-5 team gets into the playoffs. The playoffs. It's not really a playoff at that point. It just feels bad. I do want to say though that these teams have good players. These teams can be good, but like there's something that's not happening with them. And it could be coaching and strategy. It could be format. It could be the league restrictions. It could be how much they're able to scrim and who they're scrimming against. But it could also be patch and meta, of course. There's a lot of variables with that. But I'm very curious in the idea of something like Fearless, because it might be the spark or the chaos that some of these players need so that they're not locked into a bad patch, right? With one that's not conducive to their skill set. It might be good for a team and how their strategy, they can try something new and they're not just locked into that one-minded coach, single-minded fury, basically going at it, hacking away. So I'm excited about that potentiality, but I'm not really hopeful that we're going to see it over here in North America, because I feel like a lot of fans don't want something like that. They don't understand it, perhaps. They're not familiar with the idea of it. But hey, this is Billy speaking to you, the audience. If you're a League of Legends esports fan, if you like the Fearless Draft, if you don't like the Fearless Draft, we want to hear from you. A little bit of a call to action. Check out our social media. Let us know there. Let us know right here. We're looking at the comments as we're filming this, so we want to know what your thoughts are. We've already said what ours are. Any final thoughts on your end, Nick? What do you think as far as the rest of LCS tournament in this lower bracket? We already know you're pretty salty on that lower, and we're not expecting much out of it.
No, like my point on the saltiness on that is like, how disappointing is it to viewers and advertisers if FlyQuest faces Team Liquid now, and then 4 matches later FlyQuest faces Team Liquid in the finals, they're like, they already paid for that shit. Like the advertisers, like, I already paid for this game, dude, to advertise. Yeah, but they're doing it again.
Yeah, but I don't know if the advertisers, I don't know if the advertisers give a shit if it's like Team Liquid playing NRG Kia. They just want to see a bunch of viewers. But like, that's more where I think your point's made where, oh yeah, we're going to see Cloud9 playing, FlyQuest again. And we're going to see them play a third time. Like, that's when the fans are going to be like, okay, good. Especially when they're kind of one-sided, especially when it's like, doesn't feel exciting. Like, what makes it different? What makes it exciting? What makes it a rivalry? This isn't like traditional sports where there's like 100 years of like bad blood and penalties here, Yeah,
no, I mean, like, I watch a lot of these games. And like, everybody out there can be ask themselves this exact same question. Do you think I'm going to waste my time watching FlyQuest versus Team Liquid round 2? Like, legitimately, especially if like what I think is about to happen is going to happen. Like, I think Team Liquid is going to blow FlyQuest out of the water. Do you think I'm going to watch that again? Like, do you legitimately, like, and this doesn't happen every single season. It happens a good amount.
Yeah.
But like, do you think I'm going to watch this? Like, this is the problem with the viewership. And the only thing that switched was it goes from best of 3 to best of 5. Come on, bro. Like, come on.
We've already done this bracket like what, 3 times already with the tournaments and the stages, so the splits. So like, are we just seeing the same thing? Is it a format on the macro scale issue? But I don't disagree. I kind of see what you're talking about. What's that?
Only 1 point left. I think the best way to counteract this nonsense, right, is to not like Fearless Draft is great, right? But I think every single team needs 15 players. And the reason why I say 15 players is you need a sub in every role and you need to have a B squad, right? And if you like whoever you put out on the A squad this week, they can't play next week. That's just it. Like, and so, if you do FlyQuest versus Team Liquid and you want to beat them this week and you put in your best team and you end up beating them, and then you can't play your best players in the finals or something like that. Like, dude, that would make that interesting to me because I would watch the second game then, if I'm watching the same thing.
I think that's a real spicy take because I think that's a thing organizations wouldn't like because then they'd have to pay more people and like try to keep budgets down. Yeah, but like this is like barely profitable. I don't know how barely profitable, but like this is a struggling thing where they're talking about how, they can't do this, that, the other thing. And maybe it's because it's just the organizations can get lazy, et cetera. And that's a whole other conversation. But like I would see that is the place where the pushback is happening. Otherwise, I'm intrigued by it. It sounds like, hockey where they change lines, they change shifts, but that's because of physical exhaustion. That's because of matchups. Basketball, you get the small guy versus the big guy. You try to like leverage that matchup. Baseball, you have a pitcher pitching every couple days because their arm gets too tired because they're chucking meatballs 100 miles per hour, right? Like there's a physical component in that. And I know there's a physical component here, but it'd be interesting if they could try to force that a bit more where it's like the player goes on cooldown, right? You got a 1 week cooldown. There you go.
Something like it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but like something has to give, and adding more games to a match doesn't change anything. Like I like it. I like watching a series of 5, but I don't like watching lane swaps and I don't like watching the same game over and over again, which happens all the time because like in these matches, like if they perform well on a champion, you're going to ban out that champion or you're not, and they're going to play it again. So like you could see games where one player plays the same champion 3 times and they beat him 3 times. Like, so, that's where it needs to change.
Yeah. That's a whole other dimension of that. The pick ban really makes the longevity of games or the longevity of series that much more repetitive, perhaps. Maybe that's another viewership issue where it's like you're saying it creates the samesies, the feeling every time you're watching it because the same pick and ban happens because they're going to pop off and you need somebody else to pop off and they're not gonna. But anyway.
Yep.
Interesting conversation. We'll see how this week goes. We're still going to be watching League this week, checking out scores as we head into Worlds, but we've got more stories to go into, a little bit more